The Institute for State Effectiveness was set up in 2005 to promote the ability of states to serve their citizens. Its chairman, Dr. Ashraf Ghani, was Afghanistan's finance minister between 2002 and 2004, and he set the path for the country's economic recovery after the collapse of the Taliban. In his new book, The Framework Fixing Failed States, he offers a new template for state building. He discussed its contents at a seminar at Chatham House in London.
The first constituency that has taken up the question of state building is the security community. They have discovered that use of force has reached its limits. And unless you have a coherent strategy of state building, force is only going to create more enemies for you rather than more friends. I'll come back to illustrate this. The military community is the only community that is completely appreciated that the nature of war has changed. And we are in a completely different generation of war. This type of war is fought among people. And it requires very different ways of winning this war. Because unless people's loyalties are attracted, this type of war is not winnable from there.
He also highlighted the role of development and the environment in state building.
After 60 years of ignoring political economy, the developmental community is rediscovering that effective states are key to developmental approaches. The Commission on Africa is particularly clear on this issue, that without effective states, Africa's problems are not going to be solved. Third is environment. In the past week, we've seen the nature of environmental disasters and the differences in the response of a repressive state, namely Burma, and then a developmental state, namely China. But the overall question of environmental change and disaster is going to be continuously with us. And it is not going to be solved through charity or mobilization. The record of international NGOs in terms of tsunami is led to a lot of reflection from the civil society itself that they cannot substitute for the state.
During his time as Finance Minister of Afghanistan, Dr. Ghani carried out a series of extensive reforms. These included issuing a new currency in record time and preparing a development strategy that held Afghans more accountable for their own future. His experiences have led him to draw up a 5-point plan for other developing nations.
Those who want to govern must have a commitment to governing. 2, the approach must be bound by rule of law. Not that law cannot be repressive, but it has to be bound by rule of law. 3, there must be a plan. 4, you start from areas that are under control and expand outward. And 5th, you turn your back on the insurgents and you way forward towards the people to win away the people away from them. That type of insight that systematically results in coordination is what the current approaches lack. Because of that, what we need to do is to offer first a framework. What does the state do today? And then, what are the vehicles, what are the instruments or mechanisms for getting that done?
Dr. Ghani believes it's now time to develop a new strategy that will enable governments to be more accountable in the way they perform key functions for their citizens.